She survived 72 hours, trapped with her attacker, then disappeared. When deputies kicked down that apartment door on August 27, 2016, they found Denise Huskins alive. She'd been missing for 3 days. Held captive by a stranger who'd broken into her boyfriend's home, drugged her, and driven her 400 miles away. But the relief investigators felt wouldn't last, because within hours, the FBI called a hoax. The Vallejo Police Department accused her of staging the entire kidnapping. Denise Huskins became a suspect in her own abduction, and the man who actually took her remained free for 5 more months. On March 23, 2015, Denise was staying at her boyfriend Aaron Quinn's Vallejo home. Around 3 in the morning, Aaron woke to a blinding light and a voice telling him not to move. Intruders placed blacked-out swim goggles over his eyes. Through headphones, a pre-recorded message explained this was a professional robbery, that Denise would be taken as collateral for a $15,000 ransom. When Aaron finally freed himself 11 hours later, she was gone. That 11-hour delay made police suspicious. The bizarre details, the modified goggles, the scripted messages, none of it fit any kidnapping pattern they recognized. Detective Matthew Mustard was certain Aaron was lying. By evening, Vallejo police had decided this wasn't a kidnapping at all. Meanwhile, Denise was living 72 hours of methodical cruelty. Drugged and transported to an isolated location, her captor communicated in that same calm, clinical tone. He claimed to be part of a professional criminal organization. He sexually assaulted her, recorded it, told her the videos were insurance against going to police. He seemed educated, spoke with precision, mentioned military training. But he also seemed unstable, shifting between cold professionalism and moments of apparent regret. On March 25th, after 3 days, he simply released her, drove her to Huntington Beach, near her father's home, and let her go. When she walked to her father's door, he immediately called police. That should have ended the nightmare. Instead, the FBI had already concluded Aaron was being deceptive. When Denise reappeared alive, they saw it as proof of their theory. Real kidnapping victims don't simply reappear unharmed. Hours after she was found, Vallejo police held a press conference. Lieutenant Kenny Park called the kidnapping a hoax, compared it to Gone Girl, said it wasted law enforcement resources. Within hours, Denise wasn't a survivor. She was a liar. The public reaction was brutal. Social media erupted. News outlets questioned her mental state. Denise, recovering from captivity and sexual assault, faced violation of a different kind. Her credibility was being destroyed nationally. She provided detailed statements, agreed to sexual assault examination, cooperated fully. None of it mattered. What investigators ignored was evidence that contradicted their theory. Commercial zip ties suggesting premeditation, modified swim goggles, trace evidence of unknown individuals, sexual assault injuries, vehicle descriptions. None of it suggested a hoax. 3 months later, on June 5, 2015, a woman in Dublin, California, woke to an intruder. He tried restraining her with zip ties. She fought back. Neighbors called police. The intruder fled, dropping modified swim goggles, zip ties, and a laptop. That laptop belonged to Matthew Muller, a disbarred attorney and former Marine. On it were videos of Denise Huskins during her captivity, proof that everything she'd said was true. Matthew Muller was arrested June 8, 2015. Harvard law-educated, former immigration attorney. He suffered from bipolar disorder and psychotic episodes. He developed an elaborate system for home invasions. He believed himself a professional operator. In reality, he was deeply disturbed. When federal investigators connected Muller to Denise's case, the humiliation was complete. The FBI and Vallejo police had publicly destroyed her credibility, while the actual perpetrator continued offending. In September 2015, Vallejo issued a terse apology. Muller pleaded guilty in 2016 and received 40 years in federal prison. But from March 25th, when Denise reappeared, until June 8th, when Muller was arrested, 74 days passed. During that time, he attempted at least one more kidnapping. How many other victims were there? If police had believed Denise from the beginning, Matthew Muller might have been caught in March instead of June. Today, Denise and Aaron are married. They've written a book, Victim F, From Crime Victims to Suspects to Survivors. They advocate for changes in how law enforcement handles these cases. But the scars remain. Denise describes being victimized twice, once by her captor and again by the system meant to protect her. The case raises fundamental questions about how we treat survivors, about assumptions law enforcement makes when details don't fit expected patterns, about the rush to disbelieve, especially when victims are women reporting sexual assault. Denise Huskins became a national example of that skepticism taken to its most destructive extreme. She survived 72 hours with her attacker. But how do you survive being erased by the very people meant to save you? While Matthew Muller sits in federal prison and Vallejo issued an apology, the fundamental truth remains unchanged. For months, when it mattered most, no one believed her, and that disbelief had consequences that rippled out in ways we're still measuring. Denise Huskins refused to disappear, even when everyone wanted her to. And maybe that's the kind of survival that matters most.